Welcome back to Newsroom Live. It's 8:20 on this Tuesday evening. We've been talking about some of the latest developments in the Nancy Guthrie case. I have my colleague Sharon Crowley next to me, who is covering the story tonight, and she's also been covering it extensively over the last 10, 11 days. How long has it been?
Exactly. And we are working on a story for you tonight at 10 o'clock. We're hoping to hear from TMZ and also some federal investigators, former federal investigators, that can break it all down for us tonight on Channel 5 at 10 o'clock. And we'll have another report for you at 10:30. So hope you'll tune into that. And we also stream it free on the Fox Local app.
But it looks like our big updates right now that you just told us is that 2 SWAT armored vehicles departed the Pima County Sheriff's parking lot in Tucson, Arizona, but it does remain unclear where they were heading. But it seems to be confirmed, at least by multiple sources to Fox News, that they are related to the case.
That's right. And now we have our guest, which is Michael Alcazar. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Meredith, as you know, I know you're a little new. You've come to us from Boston, but Michael is a great friend of Fox 5, former NYPD, John Jay Criminal College, and former hostage negotiator. So he brings with us such an enormous amount of expertise to this subject matter. First, I got to just jump in here and ask you, Michael, first, so thank you for joining Meredith and I this evening. Tell us, what do you think, how significant is it, the video that was released today by Kash Patel, the FBI director? This really feels like a huge break in the case.
Oh, we can't hear him.
Oh,
Maybe I think he's muted.
We're muting. That's all right.
No problem.
Hold on. He's unmuting.
All right, perfect. We got you now.
Did you hear my question?
You are still muted.
Oh,
is he still muted? Okay. We'll give it a second. That's technology.
I'm sorry, ladies. I'm good now.
No problem.
No problem. Thank you for joining us again. I don't know. I guess you heard my question.
I did.
Huge break, right?
Huge. I mean, that's the first thing we do when we open up a case. We want to get surveillance. Thank God they finally got the surveillance videos. The video itself is huge because you can identify a lot of things. Even though he's wearing a mask, you can identify his gait, the way he's walking, his clothing, you know, a specific brand. Somebody out there is going to identify this guy. Not us, but somebody close to him or somebody that has seen him. So it's a huge, huge break.
And, you know, basically this huge development came in terms of movement, the SWAT armored vehicles departing the Pima County Sheriff's Office tonight in Tucson. It remains unclear where they were heading, but it is being confirmed by multiple sources that it is related to the case. So when you see law enforcement activity like this right after, hours after surveillance footage like this is released, do you think there's a correlation between someone calling in a good tip?
100%. Just like Savannah's plea, somebody probably identified a suspect that they vetted that might be somebody viable that they want to go to. Those trucks haven't moved in the last few days. All of a sudden they're moving. Something's big is happening. I'm confident they're going to apprehend somebody that's a person of interest, potentially the suspect.
Yeah, it's been so incredible, the speed with which we've seen developments happen today after what appeared to be law enforcement at a dead end. Another thing we're hearing tonight from TMZ's Harvey Levin, and that there was movement in the Bitcoin purse that maybe just our Tucson station reporting maybe as little as $300. Is that some kind of bait to try to draw someone out? Is it linked to this? What do you think?
100%. That could be something that the FBI sent out to follow the track where that Bitcoin wallet is traveling. Because as you guys know, eventually that wallet leads to an identification when somebody's trying to cash that. And if they're dumb enough to try to cash $300, good for them. We got them.
And that's something that I feel like is a little bit maybe under the radar for people who might not know how cryptocurrency works. Again, I mean, it sounds like all of Bitcoin is traceable, Michael. So again, if this criminal tries to cash out $300, or this is bait and, you know, $1 million or $6 million ransom amount is put in this wallet. Again, when they try and take the money out, that's when it's traceable. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's going to be, you know, it's going to have to go to like U.S. currency or some kind of currency. And that currency was collected is going to be linked to somebody's identification, right? And most people think that that's not the case, but it is. So I don't know if they did that on purpose, again, like to bait somebody. Hopefully that's the case. And if they even have nothing to do with this case, but they were sending those ransom notes, they're in big trouble.
Wow. Yeah, and one thing that was brought to our attention a short time ago that was interesting is that in the surveillance video, you see the person who the law enforcement's interested in talking to or identifying look like he's going to walk into the house with a full backpack on. Now, that would maybe be completely opposite of what you'd expect from someone who is going to potentially rob a place, going in with a full backpack.
It seems like he's prepared for something. The question is what?
Yeah, that was very interesting. Me and my buddy Joe were looking at that today, and it could be like his, he could have like a bunch of tools in there. I mean, we were speculating a lot of things. Could have like some kind of like a drop cloth, anything, but it was definitely full and fat with some kind of equipment, we would assume.
And when you watch this surveillance video, I mean, I know there's not a ton to work with here that's being released, but based on, the person's approach to the house and maneuvers and whatnot, does it look like something that may have been planned and mapped out ahead of time?
Yeah, I'm just speculating, but he definitely looked like he knew there was some kind of surveillance cameras, right? When we see him walking in, he's hiding his face, he's covered up. And, I don't know if he anticipated there was a ring door, but he was anticipating some kind of surveillance. So that, to me, that says that he might have scoped out the location prior, which is a big lead, because now they can track to see if that individual or any individual was in the vicinity days before, weeks before, now that we have his video, so we can compare it to anybody else that was in the area.
I got to ask you about the gun. I don't have one, but I've been hearing from law enforcement like yourself, former law enforcement, whatnot, that this seems like a guy that was never a police officer or never in the military and really doesn't have firearms training.
Maybe because of the positioning of the gun. I'm not sure about that, because I'm old school. When I had a wheel gun, a revolver, I used to carry my swivel holster. When I was sitting in a car, I would put it towards the middle too, just to make it more comfortable. Is that a possibility that he had a vehicle and he was moving it around? Potentially. I wouldn't say that. It doesn't say that he has no background in law enforcement or military. It's possible.
And what about the car, the getaway car or the getaway motorcycle, or if he went on foot? And obviously, the only things we know, the facts we know from the sheriff's department, is that she was removed against her will sometime around 2:28 in the morning after January 31st there. And, it'd been missing 10 days. So does this person need help to move a 150-pound woman who might be resisting or not?
Yeah, I thought that was unusual too, if it's only him. So I'm thinking now, did he plan to abduct Nancy, or was he just, it was just something that happened? Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I don't know. But if he did, I mean, if he's on a small vehicle, it's going to be weird that you're transporting it. And you could probably detect that in surveillance cameras that they're looking at now. Now that we have an idea of his height and weight and his clothing, they're definitely going to compare that to more surveillance video around the area.
And Michael, multiple news sources and news outlets right now are reporting that the FBI's elite hostage rescue team is in Tucson. Now, as someone who was a former hostage negotiator, in a situation like this, if Nancy Guthrie is alive and being held hostage somewhere, which again, we don't know whether she is alive being held hostage or not at this point, what are the most crucial things right now, if she is being held hostage, in terms of getting her out safely and unharmed?
Yeah, saving Nancy is the priority. So they have negotiators on standby. They have their SWAT teams on standby. They're preparing for any kind of scenario. If there's going to be a standoff, that's where the negotiators come in. If it's going to be violent, that's where the SWAT emergency services come in. So I think they're preparing for all kinds of scenarios that might arise if they identify where this perpetrator is, and hopefully where Nancy is.
And in a situation where, again, there's surveillance footage released, there was just a potential deposit into the Bitcoin wallet. There's little breadcrumbs now leading to the suspect. If this person who could potentially be holding Nancy hostage catches wind of this and stuff, how much does that speed up the sense of urgency to get things moving from the law enforcement side of things?
Yeah, we definitely have to move a little bit quicker. We have a little bit more information. If he's watching this, I'm sure he's preparing if he hasn't already moved. My hope is that he just leaves Nancy where she is so that he can escape. I don't see him taking her with him if his goal is to get away. Now that he sees that they have his image, then he's probably really nervous right now. So yeah, law enforcement is definitely making moves really quick. If they have good information to work with, they're checking it out right away. And again, everybody's on high alert, and they've activated all the necessary investigators and tactical teams that has to be on standby.
Awesome. Michael Alcazar, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And we look forward to talking with you again later on as this story progresses. And our thoughts and prayers, as they always are, with the Guthrie family, and hoping that this turns out to be a great night for them.
Yeah. Thanks so much,
Thank you,
Michael.
ladies.
We'll take a break. We'll be right back with more on this in just a few minutes. Welcome back to Newsroom Live. It's 8:33 p.m. on this Tuesday evening. And again, we are continuing to discuss these breaking updates on the Nancy Guthrie missing persons case in Tucson, Arizona. You can see her house right here. There's been some law enforcement activity tonight. We saw and heard that there were multiple SWAT armored vehicles that departed from the Pima County Sheriff's parking lot in Arizona that multiple sources have now confirmed to Fox News are related to the case. I have our Sharon Crowley here with me as well. She's been covering this case extensively for more than a week at this point, and she'll be covering it tonight.
I will. I'm working on our 10 o'clock story, but it's really been a case that has gripped the nation. And it seemed up and until today, we had almost no progress, but we did have a major, major break. Brian, if you can put those pictures up on the screen one more time. This is the person the feds are looking for tonight, and they're hoping somebody recognizes him and maybe makes a call in. But right now we have a very special guest joining us.
We do. We have the Vice President of Doyle Security Services, Greg Sanfilippo, joining us. Greg, thank you so much for coming on. And first of all, you see the surveillance footage that was released today. Does this have the markings of an abduction to you? How do you interpret what you saw?
Well, very big break in this case. Obviously, we've been waiting for 10 plus days now for some sort of video, some sort of license plate read, description of a vehicle. So this was a tremendous break. Obviously, this is why you want to get these pieces of information out into the public, because I'm sure right now it's coming in is a whole lot of tips, right? Anything that sparks anyone's memory or recollection, or whether it be the size of the person, the gait, anything that, any sort of tips are, I'm sure, coming back in. That's why you're seeing local authorities start to mobilize response teams, so that they are ready as they're vetting those tips as they're coming in for that appropriate response.
And I was wondering,
Specifically,
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I just wondered if what from these images, does anything give us a sense of whether this person is still in the area?
So you can't tell from the video what happened afterwards, but it does lead you to believe that you're looking at someone that was prepared in some way, right? He's carrying a weapon. It's an odd carry for the weapon. Doesn't seem like it has any sort of U.S. military experience or U.S. law enforcement experience. Although I'm hearing that particular carry may be something that's attributable to South American military law enforcement. So it's a very unusual carry to deem that person had some sort of professional military experience or law enforcement, right? So they're there. They didn't notice that there was a ring camera. Very odd response. Not really a professional response. If you were a professional at breaking and entering, you would have approached that front door a lot differently. Or why approach the front door at all? That there are reports or people are saying, hey, perhaps he was, out there. Why is that backpack so full? Was he doing
Yeah,
breaking
we
and
talked a
entering?
little bit
These
about
are a lot
that.
of things to
Yeah.
exclude. They would have been excluded already. There would have been reports of other breaking and enterings in the area.
Mhm.
So, I still go back to, that these instances like this, the violence isn't the first sign, right? That there had been some sort of, seeking data or targeting of Miss Guthrie, rather than just a random act.
And when you look at the situation, the FBI was able to retrieve this surveillance footage from the back end through Nest camera services. I mean, how difficult do you think it is to retrieve security footage like that when it's basically either not under subscription? Like with these camera services, they're saying, if you're not subscribed to the service, they typically delete after a few hours and are not stored. So from your background as a security expert, I mean, how, I guess, lucky of a break in this
Yeah,
case is that
definitely.
this was able to be found on the back end.
Takes time. You mentioned, and that was reported earlier, that she wasn't a subscriber to it. So a big takeaway here is, storing of that data is very important when it comes to investigations. Makes it a lot easier. That information would have been, retrievable in minutes rather than days. But if it's out there, on the cloud, it's retrievable. It just takes time. It takes subpoenas. Sometimes, a lot of times from other providers. So if it's on the cloud, it's retrievable. It just shows how long it does take for a case of this magnitude to get that data when you don't have that subscription. And then also the takeaway is that the cameras don't prevent the instance. The cameras help the investigation unless someone's watching those cameras live and then providing some sort of access control based off the live feed. So even had she had the subscriptions, we would have had this video a lot sooner, but it wouldn't have prevented this.
There must be other cameras, and I know we've seen law enforcement go to all the major intersections. The neighborhood where she lives in, they don't have street lights. It's been said over and over again just how dark it is and how it's sort of rugged terrain and the houses are not near one another. Is that the next step now that they've narrowed it down to this image? Will they be trying to enhance the image to possibly get a composite sketch, unmask the person, and then of course try to find other, based on the timeline, the cell service and other camera images?
Yeah, right. It demonstrates that these cases don't always play out in 60-minute, nice for television, made for television movies. It takes time. The investigations take time. So yes, now they go back through all the videos that they were able to collect that didn't, raise that level of suspicion. They were explainable. Hey, we see so and so, but we've excluded them because of whatever reasons. but or that it just didn't raise to that level of suspicion. Now we have not a person of interest. We have a clear suspect, and then the investigators are able now to go back and piece that together. Just like you said, height, shape of the head, size of the head, type of gait, the walk, everything is now being analyzed, and then they'll go back through video.
And
It takes more time.
Greg, we heard a short time ago, there's multiple outlets reporting that there was some activity in the Bitcoin wallet that was linked to one of the ransom notes or both of the ransom notes. One of the Tucson area local news stations reporting that the amount was around $300 or less. So essentially, I mean, a very small fraction of the reported amount that was demanded in the ransom note. I mean, do you take this as a breadcrumb? I mean, is it a way to see if the wallet's legitimate? Is it a way to spur maybe the potential person?
Yeah, I was thinking, is it bait to try to, shake the trees and get someone to come out and try to take it so they could catch him?
Absolutely, tool that can and is most likely being used here, right? When you first heard the ransom notes demanding money in Bitcoin, that was a sign that although, I felt that you had preparation, someone prepared for this, that she was targeted, it wasn't random, but the level of professionalism is still subject, right? And this video shows that whoever approached that door was prepared, but not professional. Also, that ransom demand in Bitcoin's not anonymous. It's fungible. The term is it's easy to move. That's the genius behind Bitcoin. Not that it's totally anonymous, and it's very traceable by investigators after the fact. So that was sparked with, even if it was just a couple $100, whoever's moving that from there then leaves those digital breadcrumbs behind.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is very interesting. And I feel like it's something that might be a popular misconception for people who aren't super involved in cryptocurrency or know much about Bitcoin. There's a tendency for people to believe that it's completely untraceable. I mean, that doesn't seem to be the case. So essentially, if the suspect who's potentially holding this woman hostage goes to withdraw the Bitcoin currency from the wallet, is that typically how it's traced back?
Yeah, again, depending on the level of professionalism, if they're very amateurish and they just try to retrieve from that wallet, very easily traceable. If they have some sort of level of sophistication, they'll try to move it from that wallet and then bounce it around through, other dark web accounts or other harder to trace accounts. Just takes more time in the investigation. Doesn't mean that it's a dead end for investigators.
All right. Well, thank you. We'll leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate your insight, and I hope we'll see you again real soon, because this story does seem to be unfolding as we speak. So we appreciate your time this evening.
My pleasure. We all continue to pray for Nancy's safe return.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you, Greg. We'll be right back with more Newsroom Live after this short break.
Does this tie into something?
Welcome back to Newsroom Live. It's 8:46 on this Tuesday evening, and we are going to shift gears and talk about some New York City fashion and style. I have Amanda Sanders joining me. She is a celebrity stylist and image consultant. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
And all right, living in New York, I feel like it requires a different sense of being able to leave the house, knowing that you're prepared for whatever the day has in store for you, whether it is your commute. Right now, it's through disgusting, dirty snow and freezing weather, or it's in the summer and you could be sweating by the time you get to work from your subway ride.
This is true. I always say that's why, like, New York women carry such big bags, because they have 10 different seasons in the bag, meaning, a change of shoes, a shawl, like an umbrella. I mean, we don't have cars, so we have to be prepared for the full day.
We really do. And it is so hard, especially as a woman, to know what to pack and what staples you need in your wardrobe as you get going. And especially for people who newly moved here. I mean, I moved here a little over a year ago, and I definitely had to tweak some things in my wardrobe compared to the past city I lived in, where I was driving everywhere. So I have to ask you, I mean, what are some staples in a New Yorker's wardrobe that you think everybody needs?
Well, everybody needs a variety of coats, whether they're raincoats, leather jackets, trench coats, fur coats, fake fur coats. I mean, we have there's 900 seasons in the course of, a full day. So I would say jackets are a big part of your outfit.
And I mean, we look around the streets. Obviously, New York City is a very heavily touristy area. As a New Yorker who's in the fashion world, how can you tell a native New Yorker or someone who lives in New York apart from the tourists by their wardrobe?
Well, I would say they're not in head to toe black, which us New Yorkers consider a color.
Totally.
I would say, in terms of wardrobe, that, New Yorkers are a little more subtle, believe it or not. They don't wear a lot of logos. We don't wear giant jewelry. It's just, we don't announce if we have money, so that we're not like a big Target. And I feel like, tourists used to wear a fanny pack. Now fanny packs are semi-cool, but those kind of things, and just the way they move.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I feel like making sure that you're not wearing flashy logos or flashy jewelry really is so important, because, I mean, as someone working in news, you hear about instances of people getting robbed on the street. I mean, weekly.
Right. Well, now we call it travel jewelry. So a lot of women have reproductions of some of their real jewelry. Their real jewelry just sits in the safe, and, everybody's buying a lab-grown or costume jewelry, and that's what they're wearing half the time.
And I'm hearing, I talked to a friend of mine who is really into jewelry, and it's almost hard to distinguish now between lab-grown and real diamonds. Is that true?
Well, you cannot distinguish by the blind eye.
Wow.
So it's only really under a microscope. But you can distinguish when you're buying it, the price of what it is.
I mean, hey, listen.
But it's a third of a cost. Yeah.
That's a good deal, especially if you're going to be walking around New York City. You don't want to take any chances.
Correct.
Or honestly, lose it if you're traveling yourself.
Too. Also, like break-ins in your room, you could drop it, you could leave it by the bedside. I've heard so many sad stories of things that just couldn't be replaced. So a lot of people only wear their jewelry in New York for special occasions.
And we're hearing all about capsule wardrobes and different ways that you can build a closet and a wardrobe without going out and buying a new outfit every time that you have something going on. As a stylist, I mean, what advice do you have for someone looking to build their wardrobe without having that mentality of, oh, I need to go out and buy pieces for every event? Because I struggle with that. Truly.
Well, shop your closet. It's okay to wear things more than once, which I think, unfortunately, in this world of Instagram, TikTok, social media, it's like a one and a done.
Okay, this is helpful to hear from a stylist.
And there's also ways to recreate it. I always think that, go and buy some new accessories, whether it's like a giant, a belt, try some new things, whether, it's scarves, whether it's earrings, I find that most people just don't take it that next level. And that's where they always come to me. They're like, yes, I have black or I have some patterns, but I don't feel finished.
And how do you, I mean, I'm sure there's not one solid way to do this, but how do you figure out what looks good for your body type?
Well, I think it's experimenting, with trying different silhouettes and shapes, it's always better on the other side, right? So curvy girls want to be tiny and tiny girls want to have curves. So it's really being realistic about what your shape is and, how you can get it to look like something else if that isn't your shape. Meaning like there's ways to cheat the eye, but being honest with like, your own self.
And if you were to look at like the fashion trend curve right now, we'll start with, what do you think are the most trendy things right now that could have some longevity?
Well,
Not to put you on the spot.
Right. I would say vintage. I would say bags. Women are always investing in bags, but now we're going back to the, luxury but resale market. The prices have become so outrageous because of tariffs and people have just stopped buying, Chanel at a certain point. Everybody is now, vintage markets are so hot. And, it's again, buying unique pieces because again, like the world is becoming global. So what we buy in New York is now what we buy in LA and Chicago. It's all accessible because it's all online. So it's really about how you style it and how you create it to feel like it's yours and you're wearing it. It's not wearing you.
And what trends do you think right now maybe won't last as long or maybe just aren't something that you should invest in necessarily?
Well, I would say the little baby bags.
Yes, those little minis.
Yes, that I'm like, you can put a phone in. That's not always the best investment unless you go to black tie after black tie. I would also say be really careful of oversized things. I think we've now scaled it back to be maybe more mid-size, regular things. But, I still always believe in investing in some good pieces that last for years to come, like a leather jacket, great boots, a classic trench coat, a classic bag at some point,
That's exactly what I
Right.
was going to ask you next. So, okay, those are the pieces that you should consider investing in. What kind of things would you consider maybe looking for dupes of or more affordable items in that sense?
Again, I think like great sunglasses you can fake. I think belts you can find, again, that are less expensive. Accessories being, whether they're diamond hoops. Again, nobody knows that they're costume. There's things like that because people don't ask, at least hopefully not. And I think, again, there are pieces you will wear forever. Unfortunately, a lot of those are the black pieces in your
Yes.
wardrobe. But again, like, a statement tennis necklace is great. Again, accessories that will go, day to night, I also think are great. But don't be afraid to buy like costume stuff. I think, we are seeing the world feel more and more comfortable with that.
And honestly, there's some really beautiful costume jewelry
There's
out there.
fantastic jewelry.
But listen, as someone who wears all black most of the time, this is like a rare day I'm wearing.
I'm like, that's a fun pattern.
Thank you.
Looks great
but
on camera.
Love the outfit.
And I'm like, and I'm in black, and anybody who knows me knows I don't really wear black.
Well, it looks great. And
thank
I'm
you.
mentally storing all of these style and fashion tips because Lord knows we can all use some help, especially living in this city where you never know what weather you're getting.
Correct.
You never know what the day has in store for you.
Correct.
And God knows what else. But
Right. And again, the change of shoes.
yes.
If this week has shown us nothing else, unfortunately, women are, don't literally are calling me and be like, I can't wear a flat and I don't have a boot. And what boot would I wear? So this is the first year I've invested in Uggs.
Honestly, you need them this year. All right, we've
More
got
than ever.
Amanda Sanders, celebrity stylist and image consultant, joining us. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me anytime. I live across the street.
Oh, we'll be having you on. Thank you so much.
Okay, take care.
Take care. We'll be right back after this quick break.
Step off.
Welcome back to Newsroom Live. It's 8:57 p.m. on this Tuesday evening. We are going to talk some weather quickly before we wrap things up. Nick, I will hand it over to you.
All right. Well, it's going to be an interesting evening. We have a little bit of snow, maybe a little freezing rain, a little sleet, a little rain. Very, very light, though. It's not going to be a big problem, but could cause some slippery conditions. There you see our futurecast, Meredith. That gets out of here fast tomorrow. It's going to be a windy day, but you know what? We're going to break 40 degrees for the first time in a long time.
What?
So, yeah, get ready to party. It does get a little cooler again, though, Thursday and Friday, back to the mid-30s, but at least it's not the deep freeze coming our way. So some improvement coming in there. And after tonight's little episode of a little snow, sleet, and rain, the forecast is pretty quiet into the second half of the weekend. But tonight's still kind of chilly. There's our low temperatures. We're talking 20s in the suburbs, about 34 for the city, and closer to about 29 or 30 along the coast. Again, that little mixed precipitation coming in. But tomorrow, I tell you, 40 is going to feel great. The only thing that might take a little bit off that 40 is the wind.
Okay, but we'll still take it. And what about for Valentine's Day?
So that's Sunday, right?
Saturday.
Well, I better get my act together. Saturday looks good. It's actually going to be a sunny day, and we're probably going to get into the low 40s on Valentine's Day. So another nice day compared to what we've had. The average high, by the way, is around 42.
Okay.
So we'll be right in that neighborhood, low 40,
30 degrees warmer than it's been.
Oh, my gosh, right? What a cold. Well, there you go. Here's your 7-day. And again, you can see 41 tomorrow. Then we're going to cool it back into the mid-30s Thursday, Friday. There's Valentine's Day. I got to put a little heart on that 7-day for the 10 o'clock show. 43 now. Sunny Monday. I have a little nighttime snow rain into Monday. Some hints are that storm might just stay off to the south. So stay tuned for future updates, because I may, as I always say, I reserve the right to change that forecast. So we shall see. But, we broke freezing today. We got to 36, so.
It felt amazing on my way to work today.
Little things to celebrate,
Absolutely. All right, well, we'll take it, and thank you so much, Nick, for joining for some last-minute weather. And thank you all for watching tonight's Newsroom Live.